it's back there. Yeah, it's back there in that corner. Okay, our opening this evening will be by Pastor Chad Wagner.
Okay, let us pray. Our Father, thank you, Lord, for giving us another day of life and health. Thank you, Lord, for all the blessings that you give us, none of which we deserve. I do pray that you be with this council and with the mayor tonight as they meet. I pray that you give them wisdom and you give them discretion and discernment and judgment, that they may rule in the fear of God, that they may do what is best and right for the community that we live in. I pray that they would strive to keep our taxes low and our freedom high, that they would foster a good environment for local businesses, and that they would strive to fight for the freedom of the people of this town against any that would encroach upon it wherever they may be. I pray that you'll bless this meeting and let everything that is done here be done to the glory of our Lord Jesus Christ, in whose name I pray. Amen.
Thank you. The flag is in the corner back there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Shannon.
Councilman Spear.
Yes.
Councilman Goldstein.
Yes.
Councilman McElwee.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Morgan.
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes. Okay, are there any visitors this evening that are not on the agenda that would like to speak to the council? All right. Minutes of the regular city council meeting of December 20th, 2021.
I move we approve the minutes of the December 20th meeting.
Second. Roll call, Shannon.
Councilman Goldstein.
Yes.
Councilman McElwee.
Yes.
Councilman Spear.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Morgan.
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes. Okay, consideration of agenda.
I move we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Roll call, Shannon.
Councilman Spear.
Yes.
Councilman McElwee. Councilman McElwee.
Yes.
Councilman Kowalski.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Morgan.
Yes.
We have to speak now.
Mayor Powell.
Yes. Okay. The first item on our agenda is consideration of the Historic Preservation Commission Board appointment. It's a resolution, and this would be appointing Jason Van Til to the HPC board. Jason fulfills the need on the board for real estate.
I move we
Was
approve.
that a first and a second?
No. I move that we approve resolution number 1309.
Second.
Thank you.
Roll call, Shannon.
Councilman McElwee.
Yes.
Councilman Spear.
Yes.
Councilman Kowalski.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Morgan.
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes. Item number 2 is consideration. Do you want to swear him in now?
Or both at the same
Or
time?
do you want to do both at the same time?
Go at the same time.
Okay. Item number 2 is consideration of planning and zoning board appointment. And for that appointment, we would like to appoint Julia Goldstein. Julia fulfills the need for a real estate agent on the Planning and Zoning Board, and she has had a license for more than 5 years, so that fulfills that requirement. We did have another interest, but they didn't have the 5 years, so Julia, you fulfill the 5-year requirement.
I move we approve resolution number 1310 for Julia's appointment.
Second.
Roll call, Shannon?
Councilman Spear,
Yes.
Councilman Kowalski,
Yes.
Councilman McAfee,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Morgan,
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes. Okay, if you two would come and stand here, Shannon will swear you in from there. Thank you.
And if you raise your right hand, I state your names.
Jason Mantel.
Can you do that?
I, Julia Goldstein.
Do solemnly swear that you possess the qualifications prescribed for the office, that you will abide by the Constitution of the United States, the laws of the state of Missouri, the ordinances of this city, and faithfully demean yourself while in office. If so, say I will.
I will.
Thank you for serving.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Agenda item number 3 is consideration of police vehicle purchase resolution. Jeremiah?
Good evening. The police department customarily replaces 3 of our aging and highest mileage vehicles every year to keep our fleet up to date and minimize repair costs. For the current budget year, the Public Safety Sales Tax Oversight Committee recognized our need to replace the police vehicles, and they unanimously approved funds up to $170,000 for police vehicles replacements this year. These funds were included in the current approved budget. Proceeds from the sale of the decommissioned vehicles will be returned to the PSST fund to help offset some of the cost of the new vehicles. The police department is requesting to purchase the new vehicles utilizing the State of Missouri Division of Purchasing Award from Landmark Dodge in Independence, Missouri. It is selected State of Missouri bidder of Dodge vehicles. Dodge is the only current auto manufacturer that produces police sedans and utility vehicles, and they are becoming primarily the vehicle for many agencies, including the Missouri and Kansas Highway Patrol. The cost of the individual police cars per bid specs of our chosen options are $29,150.04 for the 2022 Dodge Charger V6 all-wheel drive and $32,912.93 for the 2022 Dodge Durango V6 all-wheel drive. We are requesting authorization to purchase a total of 3 Dodge police vehicles, 1 sedan and 2 utilities, from Landmark Dodge, with the total cost of these 3 vehicles not to exceed $94,975.90 from the Public Safety Sales Tax funds. We expect delivery to take approximately 90 to 180 days. Please consider the attached resolution. Do you have any questions on any of it?
Do you think they'll be delivered 90 to 180?
I did not
seems-
type that 90 to 180 days. Barb did. I do not expect them to be 90. Who knows this day and age we're in, but yeah, get them as soon as possible.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Resolution number 1311.
I move we approve resolution number 1311.
Second.
Roll call, Shannon?
Councilman Kowalski,
Yes.
Councilman Spear,
Yes.
Councilman McAfee,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Morgan,
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 4, consideration of a combination vacuum truck lease purchase. Chad?
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the council. Public Works had originally budgeted for a new combination vacuum truck this year. This truck is an essential part for flushing sanitary sewers, storm drains, curb inlets, and manholes. Staff also uses it to vacuum excavate for water leaks and assisting in other main repairs. Red Equipment LLC is the local vendor for the Vacant truck, who happens to have the HGAC buy contract for this year. And that vehicle as spec was $424,222. Red Equipment, however, can even beat the HGAC contract price for the same truck priced at $413,065 if we buy directly from Red Equipment. and our purchasing policy allows us to do those. Like I said, we originally budgeted $400,000 in this year's budget for the purchase because it was a little bit over that, and for one reason or another reason, it won't come this year. It won't be 90 to 180 days like the police cars. They're looking at least a year out. We looked at a lease purchase arrangement so as not to put too much of a financial strain on the budget since it was slightly over the budget. A 3-year lease purchase payment plan equals out to $146,649.52 annually starting in February of 2023. So the first payment would be due then. This would total $439,948.56. Much easier on the budget to spread the payment over the 3-year period. Attached is the lease financing agreement, the quotation for the specified vac truck, and the HGAC buy contract, and a resolution is also attached. I know Friday morning we had quite a bit of a conversation on this, so I have some additional kind of information. Kind of put together a fact sheet on the purchases. Go a little more in detail on what the truck is used for, how it's used. As I said, staff primarily uses this as a multifunction truck, and it's the most essential part or piece of equipment used by utility staff on a daily basis. It's used about 5 to 7 hours every day, or at least on the job site during those times, during the normal operations from a maintenance perspective. Primarily in the sewer system, it flushes and maintains about 84 miles of gravity mains and 4 miles of pressure mains, 1,930 manholes, which all those are on about a 4 to 5 year annual rotation maintenance plan, depending on the main size and type. We also use those to flush driveway culverts if you have a gravel driveway or a driveway has a culvert under it, and storm drains as it's needed throughout town. From the water side, we use this thing as a hydro excavation tool on all of our water leaks, since it has a vac unit on it. This allows for immediate excavation once the site is on site, so the crew doesn't have to wait for emergency locates. If you were mechanically digging these holes, it would take typically about a 2-hour wait while the water is even running or people are out of low pressure or no pressure at all if you went the old-fashioned way. But with the hydro excavation, the state laws don't require you to wait on locates. Hydro excavation on utility maintenance such as valve replacement, meter pits, vaults, storm drains, and manholes are some other things they hydro excavate with. Again, this is a combined utility our combined utility division is comprised of 7 staff positions, and it's funded both by water and sewer. There are many benefits to having the 2 flusher trucks. What I'm going to discuss a little bit is being that they only offered about $20,000 for a 10-year-old truck. There's not a big market on resale of those things. So what we'd like to do is keep that one also and get as much life as left out of it up until the point the cost evaluation evaluate the added costs and maintenance costs throughout the years. You know, if we can get another year or 2 years out of it, that would be great. By keeping the existing vac truck in addition to the new purchase, this gives the staff the ability to stay focused on sewer flushing and maintenance, while a crew could also use the other flusher to repair a water leak, basically keeping all the workers from following the truck to one job site. Other benefits include, as I've got bullet points listed there, greater capacity with the 2 trucks for hydro excavating large water leaks. What that means is the tank only has about 1,000-gallon capacity. So a lot of times on your larger leaks, when you're working it live and you're sucking the water up out of the vacuum pit or right out of the main, about the time you get the clamp ready to put it on, the truck's full, you've got to stop to shut everything down as the water's still blowing out of the hole, take the truck and dump it, and then bring it back. This will allow for greater efficiency in repairing the water mains and much faster, which allows valves to remain open and basically working the leaks live to prevent boil orders. Having 2 flushers, which allow faster response times to sewer backup calls with 1 dedicated to sewer. What we'd like to do on that is try to keep 1 for sewer, or the primary one could be for sewer, and you could keep about a 2 to 3 man crew on that all day long and instead of being interrupted by water leaks. The more linear feet of sewer mains flushed annually, which aids in the liability claims on sewer backup claims from NPR. Most all leaks or sewer backups are comprised either from 2 categories, either unforeseen things such as a sewer collapse or people that put grease in a line, or the root intrusion and things like that would cause a blockage and then hangs up solids and creates a backup. So the more often we can get through the sewer mains on a regular basis and keep those flushed, the better for our citizens. This truck is a huge morale booster to the crew and aids in less downtime to maintenance issues, plus having a backup truck on site which helps both water and sewer. when you look as a manager to try to motivate your crews, you're always constantly looking at how to do that. You know, the old saying, a happy worker is a productive worker. There's not much more from any staff perspective, whether it's a new police car, a new ambulance, a flusher truck, if you're in the utility division, is that mechanism or tool that really motivates the people. One other issue or thing that came up was about the lease and the interest payments on it. In this agreement there is also, I did check on that, there's no prepayment penalties. So if the city did decide, if they wanted to make the lease payment the first year and the second or third year of that lease, if the sewer funds are accumulating more based on total expenses overall as the budget, we could pay off the thing early based on the schedule. It's in, I think, items E, and avoid paying those last 2 years with interest payments. Another discussion of it was about a certified vehicle or certified used markets. And I did talk to Andrew Schonecker with Red Equipment. He's the regional sales representative for the Midwest. He said for that market, there really isn't if you will, a used car lot, you know, that would be equivalent to automobiles. The only certified or classified, which you could say is certified new, is the demos. Their company has about 8 to 10 a year nationally. But like any demo, if you've ever experienced demos, those are usually the most loaded up and largest vehicles they have. Those would be a little larger truck. They're tandem axles. And as I put on there, they're sold as demo. They have about 8 to 10. They try to sell them by the end of the year, but they do have a couple of them left. But per his email, right now they're close to $485,000 or higher, which is quite a bit higher than what ours are. And it's a lot larger vehicle too because of the tandem axle, bigger capacity. Those would be used more in your bigger cities for those types of things. But yes, they would be usually about 5 to 8% discounted from the original sales price. And he does have a couple of those to look at, but I said, no, that's a little higher than we were looking at. So any questions, I'd be happy to answer any, or anybody else any questions on it.
Are we obligated to purchase from Red?
No, it's just they were the low with the HGAC government bid. That's what got us to them. They're the Vacant dealer.
But we're required to go through HGAC?
No, you're not required
to.
to.
Understand why. I mean, if I go look at other, you know, there's a commercial truck trader here locally that they have a 2020 Peterbilt vacuum truck sewer. I don't know this industry, but I mean, that one's substantially less, but I guess, I mean, while I appreciate the additional information, I don't know that it's on point with where our discussion was Friday. What are other options? Is this our only option? Is buying new or leasing? And I mean, it's a lot of money to spend without exploring what are some other options. What are other like-sized communities doing when they have this type of an expense ticket? Is there something creative, some type of even a timeshare where you have a major piece of equipment and different communities can buy into that? I'm looking for what are other options besides the one that we're being presented, because it's not really.
Well, I don't think a timeshare would work if you look at the number of hours each day that this is in use for our community.
So we have that many sewer leaks?
It's a full-time piece of equipment that's being used.
They don't, they don't just use it for sewer leaks. Our goal is to flush 1/3 of our sewers a year.
Well, get through about 4 to 5, depending on the mains. 5,280 miles or feet in a mile. We have about 88 miles of them, or 84 miles of it, and then the pressure side also. Now, some of those are forced mains, not many. Most of them are gravity. So when you're looking at that, I think from our statistic we did this year, about 60 to 70,000 linear feet. And that also is your Cameron, or you're flushing the main. And then if you're having problems with the tube, we run a camera through it too. So we keep track of both those things. So naturally there's lots and lots of it, and that helps you try and get to that magic number to where you can get through every line in about MPR would like about a 3-year period. With us, it's just because you got a small crew and have so many linear feet of main, we're on about a 4 to 5-year plan to try to get through everything. But yes, that truck could do nothing more than flush sewers every day, all day long, to keep those things in good shape.
But what other options did we look at besides?
Like I said, I can't speak for other cities, what every other city do. We don't look at it that way.
No, separate topic. Did we look at other options for purchasing this equipment from?
No. Typically,
Like
most
commercialtrucktrader.com that I'm looking at here for $325,000 for a 2020.
Well, like anything, a lot of those things, the size, capacity, I don't know what the specs are on that thing. I'm not saying they're not out there, but what we typically do, the whole idea of the HGAC is the government bid assistance to where we don't have to go out and buy it. But what we would typically do if you wanted to go on the open market and bid it is draw up a set of specs and then put it out there. The HGAC is a government bid assistance program that takes that out of the way and says basically we've already done that and this is the best buy for that piece of equipment. So it does a base vehicle and then you add the specs onto it, whichever you need. This one's almost identical to the old one. The only thing we're adding to this is the street flushing assembly, to where our old red flusher had that years ago, to where you could actually wash the street down. So you have the 1,000-gallon water tanks. So that comes in handy if you have floods like we do down on Marietta and different streets downtown, where once the brooms go through it to get all the dirt assemblies off of it, then you can go through and wash the street off. But no, we typically don't. I'd say on typically what we've done, like I said, since the late 80s or 90s, it's just the mindset of the council and the administration at that time was to buy a lot of used equipment. I can't speak on behalf of them. I can just say, since I was still here at that time, that was the market. And you know, that doesn't set well for morale when you're forcing your employees to work with old used equipment. Back then it was military equipment. Our new trucks came from the military surplus, and you know, we had 2 full-time mechanics to keep those things running. Now, when you get into used market, there's all kinds of stuff. You said that one's a 2020, so yeah, you can't really compare that to a 1978 Dodge truck that we'd buy. That was our new truck back then for $500.
Yeah, but I'm not necessarily saying this one specifically. I'm just saying presenting an option of one really isn't an option to choose from. It's a kind of a,
well,
it feels like a take it or leave
your
it.
government,
We can buy it.
Your government bid takes those options out, and that's the benefit of buying through those government bid programs. So the government basically goes through, there's many different sites on that you can go through to get up a government bid. MoDOT does some. MoDOT doesn't buy flusher trucks because they don't own sewer systems. But the HGAC is a very popular one that different cities use to buy that. It saves time, and the administration side of drawing up a set of specs and putting out all your different brands out there.
Steve,
It's no different than what we did just on the previous one with police cars, using the state of Missouri awards. It's the same principle. You did not question that one. We could have taken that out for bid also, but we used.
well, what I'm saying is that if this had come in at the $400,000 that is in our budget that we all approved, then this wouldn't even be a discussion, I don't think. You're talking about a difference of $13,075. And that's a problem for purchasing this equipment? My father ran an implement company. He sold new and used equipment. I'm telling you that I would like to see us purchase new, not used.
And I'm not, I would love to have new, but if we're saying it's in the budget, what I heard Friday was, well, it's easier on the budget and we'd have to borrow from general fund and some shifting of dollars.
For cash flow.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we're trying to build up a sewer fund that's already, we've had that discussion before, that's already more expensive than I think our citizens would like to have paid for it. Now we're about to spend 400 and some thousand, and we really haven't looked at any other options.
Well, when this was put into Waterwork, the tool that we invested in earlier, well, last year, I guess it was now, this piece of equipment, this is what it said was the best way for us to purchase this piece of equipment. And
It's the best use of our cash is to spread that payment over 3 years versus a lump sum payout.
I guess I wasn't aware that had been put in that application. And Chad, I want to thank you for taking the time to do some extra stuff. It takes time to put pen to paper and make phone calls and stuff like that. I'll preface what I have to say that maybe we should have some more time to consider this and any other options out there. But I would ask Chad, in your professional opinion or experience, are you aware of any communities, like even in the area, like bigger communities, at least something like that, that might have like a 3 or a 5 year cycle where they've got multiple pumper trucks and they cycle them through more? I'm just, cost benefit analysis. We've got 95% depreciation on that one we've got now. I think it's a good idea for us to keep it versus trying to sell it. But if that's the case, if there is some other municipality that's 20 miles down the road or something like that that would sell us a 3-year-old one for $250,000 or a 5-year-old one for $200,000, I agree that our guys would benefit from having newer equipment. But we've had this one for 10 years. Having a 5-year-old one, I feel like that would be an improvement from what we were doing, and I don't think that we considered our 5 to 10-year-old one a liability. So I just wonder if we might have the opportunity to make some phone calls.
The only thing I would say added to that is talking to Andrew also, they have one on site. He says most of them, flusher trucks are a very specific piece of equipment.
Sure.
There's not a wide use. If you have one of those, you're going to be flushing sewers or hydro excavating companies. The hydro excavating companies, they even buy a much higher pressure ones, much bigger tanks, much water consumption if it specializes just in hydro excavation. Because there are companies out there that will come out and hydro excavate whatever you want them to hydro excavate. Most of it is utility oriented. But he does have, for instance, we had one in there on their lot now from Joplin, I believe. He goes, it's a 12-year-old truck, almost identical to ours, $50,000. It's sold as is. And I said, yeah, well, that's not what we're looking for. He says most of these things, most cities, and this is from Andrew, who's the regional sales for Vacant for the whole Midwest, they're those special, when you get into that specialized equipment, then the only city you ask about the city, and I'll address that in just a minute, but they use it until it's completely used, and then the truck's shot. I mean, it's to the point where it's cost prohibitive to rebuild or recertify because everything's wasted on it. The only thing that's good on it is basically the cab and chassis. Because you're buying the cab and chassis, say, from International or Freightliner, and then you're taking it 8 months later and putting all this other stuff on it. It has a supplemental engine, the turbine for the vac, the tanks, the water tanks, the hydro tanks, the reel hose, all that stuff, and any other options you put on the thing. He says what most of them do, if they get to the point where they're not any more essential to a vac purpose or flushing purpose, then ag industry will buy the thing, strip it down, put a flatbed on it, and it becomes a hay truck for the cab and chassis. They're low miles because they don't drive long miles, but they have tons of hours on them because they just sit there and run and idle. Or they end up, it goes 2 places, ag and Central America. Mexico for construction industry down there, or on further south in Central America. That's where most of them turn into. So the Riverside is the only one city that I know, much like they used to do from their monies from their gambling boats, because I understand that contract's over with, that they would buy stuff, keep things 2 or 3 years, because they had so much money, they just buy new. And I know they give fire trucks away. And so I don't know if they had a flusher truck or not, but from Andrew's professional opinion as the regional sales from Vacant, most cities buy them and utilize them until their life expectancy is shot. And no, I didn't poll each individual town. I would say your small town probably contracts out with companies. Some of your smaller ones don't have the money to even buy a flusher truck. So they either go from not, calling somebody only when there's a backup and they come and address it, and they may not even have an annual program of flushing.
And I would say the key difference too is we have a public safety sales tax that pays for police vehicles. And again, going back to our previous conversations about the water rates and sewer rates in town, I just want to be able to explain to someone who's already upset about their water and sewer rates why we're spending almost $500,000 on a piece of equipment without really looking at, are there other options? Are there things we can do?
So,
I mean, if you have 2 vehicles parked in the drive and one breaks down, then you have a second one, and I think that's what we're talking about here. I just don't know that second one needs to be a brand new vehicle.
so you understand that the government bid process is they do that evaluation and price all the bids for a similar piece of equipment. So Chad doesn't have to do that and repeat that. Every public works department doesn't also have to repeat that process. They can use these governmental cooperative purchasing programs to do that research for you.
I understand, it meets
Okay.
the obligation,
Well, it isn't about the obligation.
Well, it's
means-
an obligation to go through a bidding process that you,
But it
get
does
a
that
free
work.
pass.
It does that work to research
Correct.
the available equipment. And being a key piece of equipment, like many pieces of equipment in our other departments, 5 to 7 hours a day is pretty significant to provide the productivity for our department and for the customers who don't have to wait. It saves at least 2 hours for the repair of a water line. It frees you up from having to shut off the water to the customer while it's being repaired and for that potential boil order. It also provides just the insurance savings alone from a backup claim. The insurance cost for a claim is every bit of $25,000. It saves that cost as well. And every customer that has a pipe underneath their driveway, instead of letting that back up or them have to try and use a garden hose to unlodge something, this is a key way that we can assist our property owners with those problems.
Chad, have you priced out what the contractual services you mentioned are, if the community were to go that route, and you compare that to the cost that we incur with the piece of equipment and staff?
Well, I did, because we look at something as, again, that 5 to 7 hours a day. What I mentioned, that there's some of the small towns may contract with another company to do that only if they have a backup or at the time, in an emergency situation, a mains clog. I don't even know of any. I'm making an assumption there, but no, it wouldn't be prudent with us because again, we flush mains every day, barring tomorrow it won't go out. Sub-freezing weather, it doesn't go out because it contains water. But 90% of the time, our utility crew, whether it's a water leak or that truck is going with them to aid in either the hydro excavation or the flushing of it for a repair. So it's an essential part of it. And back to the public, and everybody fully understands our water and sewer rates. I take those opportunities to try to explain to people because most of them don't even know what a flusher truck is or a vac truck is. Naturally, they're concerned about paying their sewer bill, but take that opportunity to explain to them the education of what it takes to maintain a sewer system. Most people have no idea what it takes. Do you think, why can't you do that with a garden hose? Well, you can't do that with a garden hose. It takes a truck like this. Same way it takes expensive ambulances, it takes expensive fire trucks, it takes expensive police cars to maintain the operation of a city to take care of the citizens.
Any other questions? Okay, consideration of a combination vacuum truck lease purchase resolution.
I move we approve resolution number 1312 for the 3-year lease. Did we lose someone?
Huh?
Oh. Lost me what to say.
It does. Okay, we will move on. Consideration of the vacant property registry.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you very well.
Okay.
Thank you, Chad.
Thank you.
The Community Development Department has for your consideration a proposed ordinance that would establish a registry for vacant residential properties that have code violations. This registry would enable the Neighborhoods Department and code compliance staff to identify vacant properties that contribute to blight in a neighborhood, and it provides us a means to address those violations. The registration fee would be semi-annual in the amount of $200, which is in accordance with Missouri law. Property registration fees have shown to be a beneficial tool to encourage owners of vacant properties to address the problem in a more urgent manner. This method has proven to be more efficient than citations in that the penalty is applied in a more timely manner than court appearances and fines. This ordinance does have a time to cure provision which allows the property owners 30 days to bring code violations into compliance. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have them.
For the $200 fee, would that only be incurred after the 30 days, or would that be incurred regardless of the 30-day time period?
If the violations are not abated within 30 days, then that's when the fee goes into effect.
Okay. And is there any sort of collection mechanism there, like say that they don't pay, that the city would be able to even enroll?
We can issue a citation and we can apply it as a lien against the property.
Are there any other questions? Okay, consideration of the ordinance of the vacant property registry.
Move we take ordinance number 22-01-01, second reading.
Second.
Roll call, Shannon?
I'm sorry, was that Councilman Kowalski at the first?
Yes.
Yes.
And this is item number 5?
Yes.
Councilman Kowalski?
Yes.
Councilman McAfee?
Yeah.
Councilman Spear?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Morgan?
Yes.
Mayor Powell?
Yes. Okay, consideration of a vacant property registry ordinance.
I move we approve ordinance number 22-01-01.
Second.
Roll call, Shannon?
Councilman McAfee?
Yeah.
Councilman Kowalski?
Yes.
Councilman Spear?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Morgan?
Yes.
Mayor Powell?
Yes. Thank you. Okay. Agenda item number Agenda item number 6 is consideration of an agreement with Excelsior Springs Hospital.
Yes, Kristen had another meeting tonight, so she's unable to attend. The Excelsior Springs Hospital has prepared a grant application for the BRIC grant program, which is a FEMA grant. The application would fund the installation of a microgrid, an alternative energy source that would protect the hospital from a power outage. The city is required to be the sub-applicant to SEMA, who is the applicant. An agreement between the city and hospital has been prepared to assume only that the grant flows through the city books for the requirements of the single audit, and that the hospital is responsible for everything else. SEMA has requested the city provide a financial commitment letter for the required 25% funding match and annual operation and maintenance. Please consider the attached ordinance approving an agreement between the city and hospital. And then the second issue, item 7, would be to approve a resolution for assuring there is local match for the BRIC grant.
Any questions? Okay. Consideration of the agreement with the Excelsior Springs Hospital.
I move we approve ordinance, or take ordinance number 22-01-02 to second reading.
Second.
Roll call, Shannon?
Councilman Spear?
Yes.
Councilman McAfee? Councilman Kowalski?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Morgan?
Yes.
Mayor Powell?
Yes. Consideration of the ordinance for an agreement with the Excelsior Springs Hospital.
I move we approve ordinance number 22-01-02.
Second.
You beat me to it.
Roll call, Shannon?
Councilman McAfee? Councilman Spear?
Yes.
Councilman Kowalski?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Morgan?
Yes.
Mayor Powell?
Yes. Agenda item number 7 is a resolution consideration for a local match assurance for the BRIC grant. I think Molly has already addressed that, so do you have any questions?
I move we approve resolution number 1313.
Second.
Roll call, Shannon?
Councilman Kowalski?
Yes.
Councilman McAfee?
Yes.
Councilman Spear,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Morgan,
Yes.
Mayor Powell,
Yes. Agenda item number 8 is an ordinance for the consideration of the 2021 budget amendment.
At the end of a fiscal year, we try to true the final expenditures and revenues with an amendment. In this case, this truing is only taking those items that exceeded $10,000 and updating the budget to match the actual expenditures for those line items.
Anyone have questions? Okay, consideration for the ordinance to amend the 2021 budget.
I move we take ordinance number 22-01-03 to second reading.
Second?
Roll call, Shannon?
Councilman Kowalski,
Yes.
Councilman McAfee,
Yes.
Councilman Spear,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Morgan,
Yes.
Mayor Powell,
Yes. Consideration of the ordinance for the 2021 budget amendment.
I move we approve ordinance number 22-01-03.
Second.
Roll call, Shannon?
Councilman Kowalski,
Yes.
Councilman Spear,
Yes.
Councilman McAfee,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Morgan,
Yes.
Mayor Powell,
Yes. Agenda item number 9 is appropriations dated 12/15/21, 12/22/21, 12/29/21, and 1/05/22, payroll 12/30/21, and payroll 1/14/22. Does anybody have any questions? Molly could probably answer them. Okay, so approval of these appropriations and payroll.
Move we take ordinance number 22-01-04 to second reading.
Second.
Roll call, Shannon?
Councilman Spear,
Yes.
Councilman Kowalski,
Yes.
Councilman McAfee,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Morgan,
Abstain?
Mayor Powell,
Yes. Appropriations ordinance approval?
I move we approve ordinance number 22-01-04.
Second.
Roll call, Shannon?
Councilman Spear,
Yes.
Councilman McAfee,
Yes.
Councilman Kowalski,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Morgan,
Abstain?
Mayor Powell,
Yes. Okay, agenda item number 10, remarks by city manager.
I have nothing.
Okay. Sonia?
Not this evening, thank you.
Stephen?
Nothing, thank you.
Andrew? Well, I have a couple. Molly and Melinda and I had a couple of productive meetings this week. We had one with Hunter Kelly, who is Josh Hawley's local representative, and he had come at the recommendation of Sam Graves' office, and so we had a good meeting with him and kind of told him some of the things that are going on in Excelsior Springs, and he said if we could replicate Excelsior Springs about 1,000 places across the country, we'd probably fix a lot of problems. So I thought that was kind of nice. And we also had a productive meeting with Andy Cummings from Canadian Pacific, and he explained to us how we are going to be impacted in the future when Canadian Pacific gets their approval to begin bringing their trains through, and it was interesting, and I think they're willing to help us, and he's going to send his public works guy to meet with our public works guy, Chad, to kind of some of the issues we've had where the railroad crossings are, and hopefully we can get some resolutions there, which we haven't been able to do in the past. So I felt like that was a very good meeting. So, anything else? Okay, we need to adjourn to closed session. I will entertain a motion to adjourn to closed session.
I move to close the meeting pursuant to section 610.021.3 RS Mo.
Second.
Roll call, Shannon?
Councilman McElwee,
Yeah.
Councilman Goldstein,
Yes.
Councilman Spear,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Morgan,
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes. Okay, we are closed. Thank you very much.